Okay, let's talk about learning how to speak your truth. What this effectively means is learning how to communicate to people when something's not feeling okay for you. As an HSP, your threshold of things not feeling okay for you is going to be much lower than the average person, and that's not actually a bad thing. So, sure, it might mean that in the past you've been branded as fussy or irritable or whatever, but you can think of it as, you're the canary in the coal mine. You're the one that is picking up on something that is out of whack sooner than somebody else. So, embrace it as a gift. Now, not only is it a gift, though, it's also a responsibility because if you're the first person to sense that someone is acting out of integrity, for example, or sense that someone is acting in a way that is rude or offensive or just inconsiderate, well, that means that you can't just keep it to yourself just because no one else seems to be having this same experience. So, this is something that I've had to learn over the years. I grew up as a typical HSP, pretty shy, pretty reserved. People like to label me as the quiet person, which, I didn't really appreciate, but it's true. I was pretty quiet and reserved in a lot of these situations where I just didn't feel very comfortable. Um, so, what that meant was that I would experience all sorts of things, and some of these things I would not feel okay with. They might be bothering me, upsetting me, frustrating me, what have you, but because I didn't want to rock the boat, um, and I was already used to, you know, not speaking up, being reserved, I wouldn't say anything. And as a result, my needs wouldn't get met. And these feelings of frustration, of upset, or whatever were not being addressed. So this persisted for much of my life. I'm now 40. It's only within the past few years that I finally started to figure this out. And it's only within the past year or two that I could say that I've attained a level of mastery because it's a process and it does take time and diligence, but with a little bit of effort you can go a very long way to empowering yourself. And here's the benefit of learning to speak your truth is that it liberates you. You no longer have to live this life where you're not feeling okay about the car radio being too loud or the AC turned up way too high. Those are two ones that are major pet peeves of mine. Because the average person, they might crank it in the morning when the sun is blaring and it's the evening. They don't realize how cold the car is, for example. In the past, I would just, shiver and just put up with it because I didn't want to be that guy. Or, again, if the radio's blaring and there's six people in a van and I'm the one who's like not, enjoying this loud music, I wouldn't speak up. Now I do. And here's the thing, people don't mind. 9 times out of 10, in these kinds of benign scenarios, people just don't mind. So you really want to take it upon yourself to advocate for yourself. And, this is sort of a complicated subject because it's not always just as simple as committing to speaking up when something's not feeling okay. That is part of it. But in order for you to actually do it and feel good about doing it, you need to first understand that your needs are important. First, it's recognizing your needs and desires. Your need to feel comfortable in this car ride, for example. And then you have to recognize that as an individual, your needs matter. Now, it might sound silly to hear that, but HSPs can struggle with this. We tend to struggle with feelings of low self-worth, low self-esteem. We get these ideas that there's something wrong with us. I had a client recently share with me about an experience where he was at a show, and or no, it was a club, and it was really noisy and chaotic, and he was the only person having this issue. His friends weren't noticing any problems, and he was thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just have a good time? So imagine having that type of experience your entire life, from your childhood on up. You start to believe that there is something wrong with you, and that it translates into you're not that important. Other people are important, therefore their needs and desires are most meaningful, and yours just, you just kind of have to suck it up and stop being such a fill in the blank. It's a shame, because we can really turn against ourselves and be quite cruel to ourselves. And it's an acknowledgement that in life, in the past, there were others that were perhaps quite cruel and unkind to us. They weren't okay with us being, fussy or whatever, or for some reason they were just, not treating us very well. We can internalize this, and the result is that we may tend to think that our needs don't matter, therefore we shouldn't speak up. And I want you to really change that. Start rewiring this subconscious programming to instead have this new belief that your needs are very important, that you are very important, and you deserve to have the things and the experiences that you want in life. You're just as deserving as anybody else. No one is more deserving than another person. We're all equally deserving to have our needs and desires met. It's just a matter of reading a situation. If you're in a van full of 6 people and everyone's sweating bullets, and the AC is cranked, and you're the only one that is cold because you forgot your jacket or something, then maybe in that case you'd want to be more mindful of everyone else. But in a normal situation, and you're this canary in the coal mine, everyone else might be cold but they don't even realize it. Well, do yourself a favor and just say, hey guys, it's a little cold back here, would you mind turning the AC down? Solves problems very easily. Now, that is a pretty simple example. Speaking your truth, there's levels of difficulty with this, and I want you to be fully empowered to speak up whenever you're feeling uncomfortable, whenever you're in a situation where something doesn't feel okay for you, because you deserve to feel okay and comfortable, right? Within reason, of course, but in a lot of situations, it's very reasonable for you to share with someone that, hey, this isn't feeling okay for me. And here's where it gets a little bit tricky. It can be very subtle and ambiguous, especially in social situations. So environmental situations with, hot, cold, noise, these are things that we just talked about, being a little bit more straightforward. But in social settings with friends and other people that you associate with, it could be more subtle, the thing that's happening that's not feeling okay for you, and you may not even realize or recognize it, but you'll just feel off. HSPs, we easily just feel off, and our brain can't always catch up to that. It's like my friend who's out at the club, before knowing all this about him as an HSP, he was like, I'm feeling so uncomfortable. I don't understand why. So if you're hanging out with a friend, for example, then what you gotta do is find a way to let them know if how they're communicating with you is just not feeling good. If someone is, you know, making careless remarks that are hurting your feelings, for example, well, that's something that's not okay, and you're gonna feel that in your body. Now, because of your programming, you may not realize that this is not okay. You may have been brought up to think that making careless remarks that could hurt other people's feelings is like totally normal. But I want you to know that if it's not feeling good for you, it's just not okay, and you ought to really mention that. So give that a try. I had had some experiences recently with friends where this came up, where I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and it seemed like it was a totally normal interaction for us, because we had some other times when we were hanging out with each other, and it seemed to be okay. But this time I was feeling very anxious and tense, and I didn't quite understand why. And it wasn't until the next day, where I was still feeling this anxiety, that I realized something is going on here that's not feeling right. And after I sat with it and did some journaling and reflecting, I realized that there were some dynamics in this relationship. They weren't feeling okay for me from the start, and they were just getting worse because I wasn't speaking up or doing anything about them. But my body was giving me these signals, these subtle cues and hints that, hey, something's not right here. You should really pay attention to this. So that's the idea. If you're ever feeling this way, you want to let people know, hey, the other day when we were hanging out, something just wasn't feeling good for me, and I think this is what was going on. It's nothing personal or whatever, but I'm realizing that there's been a dynamic in our friendship that has had me feeling uncomfortable, and I just want to let you know, because I want to make sure that we can continue hanging out in the future, and we're still on good terms. And so then the other person has a chance to receive you where you're at, and at that point, it can go one of two ways. They can understand that this is something going on for you, and it's a behavior that they can change, or be more mindful of a sensitivity, and then your friendship can grow stronger. But the risk, which is why many of us choose not to speak up in these cases, is, what if they don't take it so well? What if they get upset by us speaking our truth? What if we lose a friend as a result, or it's just awkward? And the truth is, that is a possibility that can indeed happen. And sometimes it does happen. With this individual, I decided to take some space from the friendship, because she wasn't able to fully receive that, understand where I was coming from, and accommodate me. And so that happened, but because of that, I was able to speak my truth and feel at peace about that, and feel very empowered, because there was something going on that was not feeling right. And so I did something about it. And yeah, for this period of time, we're not hanging out anymore, but that's okay. We're not supposed to be friends with everyone that we're hanging out with and maintain all these friendships no matter what. Like, friendships are fluid and dynamic, right? We deserve to spend time with people where we have this good relationship, where we're both being mindful of each other's feelings and needs and desires and levels of comfort or discomfort. So So that can happen. But there's also other occasions where you'll do this, where a friendship is strengthened. I have a friend of mine I've known for many years, and after our first year of friendship, we, had some um, issues were coming up. I was feeling, uncomfortable about some things that were coming up in the friendship, and so I voiced them, and I was like, this is one of the first times that I did it. I was really nervous about how he was going to receive it, if he would get angry and upset and this and that. And he didn't. He was very understanding, very receptive, and he ultimately understood and he accommodated me. There were topics of conversation that he was bringing up that weren't feeling good for me, and he took my feedback and chose to not bring these topics up in the future. Or if he did, he would, recognize, oh, my bad, and then he would change the topic. And our friendship has grown much stronger as a result. So this is what it's all about. Letting people know where you're at, because your needs and desires matter. If you're feeling uncomfortable, well, it is perfectly okay to just let people know, because they're going to feel better too if you're feeling comfortable, right? Nobody wants to be, hanging out with you, spending time with you if you're not going to be able to relax and enjoy yourself. But it does require this courage. So that's the message for today, guys, is learning to speak your truth is all about summoning this courage to advocate for yourself. This is one of the biggest things that you can do for your own growth and development as an HSP, which is learning how to speak up and advocate for yourself, because that means that you are really understanding and learning this principle of self-worth, that you are valuing yourself and your needs. So you do this, and I promise you, your life is going to get so much better. You're going to feel so much more empowered and emboldened to just go through life and connect with whomever, meet new people, navigate in and out of relationships and friendships with relative ease, where you're not putting up with being mistreated and you're letting people know how you'd like to be treated. Because, let's face it, I'm sure plenty of you have had far too much experience feeling mistreated, or people just not understanding how to be with you because you're not like everybody else. So that's it, guys. Give this a try and pay attention to how it feels once you start to speak up, and be patient with yourself. This is a process. Again, those first few times I did it, I was pretty nervous. I was like, oh my God, I gotta do it. I don't want to do it, but I gotta do it. Just do it. Be clumsy. Say the wrong things. Upset somebody. It doesn't matter. Practice makes perfect. You'll get very skillful over time. Just take that leap. And so, guys, if you enjoy this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more free content on how to thrive as an HSP. And if you're finding yourself lost or stuck in a career or a job that is unfulfilling, that's not feeling good for you, then go ahead and visit my website, adamhardt.com, to learn about my career coaching services, where I help HSPs determine their ideal career path. And if you're ready to have a conversation with me about what it's going to take to identify and land your dream job, then go ahead and click on the link in the description to book your free career clarity call today, and we'll have a good conversation about that. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for watching.